Good morning, good afternoon. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining today. Looks like we've got a good number of people going in the audience today, so we're going to make the announcements short and sweet. Just a reminder, we're still doing the Explore on Tour program. Fantastic outreach. Been selling out at every location. In fact, I'm fairly certain we're just about sold out of all these events as it is. But if you are in the geos and there are places available, we recommend you getting in as quickly as possible. We've got Paris just around the corner on October 15th, finishing out October strong with Sydney and Tokyo. And then wrapping up the program with Frankfurt. Little Bird told me that we're going to be doing this again next year and actually expanding the program in the geos. Looking forward to that, as well as Explore in Las Vegas coming up next summer. So we're just going to keep this party going all year. So thanks for everybody for your support in these events, and hopefully everybody's learning good things. I know we've been doing our certification programs there, as well as our hands-on labs and our guided hands-on labs where you can actually get expert guidance while getting in with the virtualized environments. But that is not why we're here today. We are actually bringing back one of our superstars today. Shobhit, how are you?
Doing great, Anders. Thank you for the kind words.
Absolutely. And it sounds like we're going to be talking about the era of AI in enterprise business. That's what's going on today, huh?
Yes, sir. That's what it is. It's an AI
Fantastic.
world.
It is, and it's really wild to be able to talk about AI and practical applications, particularly with heavily regulated industries and improving our existing cloud models. And there's a lot going on. But hey, I'm not the expert, you are, so I'm going to go ahead and pass it over at this point so we can get started.
Thank you for that introduction, Anders. Now I got to live up to it for the next 1 hour. My name is Shobhit Bhutani. I work as the product marketing manager here at VMware and lead Private AI and all associated marketing and positioning and launches. Really thrilled to have Naveen Chhabra join in from the Forrester Analyst team, and then Prashanth Shenoy, the Vice President of Product Marketing and Technical Marketing here at VMware. So welcome, Prashanth and Naveen.
Thanks,
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Great. So again, we're really thrilled to have you guys on. We'll have some really cool conversation today on AI, right? And then what the different things that we're doing around AI at Broadcom and VMware Broadcom. So really looking forward to it. So let's jump right in. Naveen, as the guest speaker and the expert from Forrester, really thrilled to have you on. Let's kick right into a couple of quick questions around the industry, right? So would love to kind of hear your thoughts around that. So AI obviously is the big buzzword these days, right? Like you can't get through any webinar, any conversation, any marketing these days without something about artificial intelligence. But I want to take like a step back and look at the overall bigger picture, right? Like there's a lot of talk about AI, but where do you see enterprises today in their AI journey, right? And how do you see this evolving, right? Because this is the space like, every 2 months I hear something brand new, right? Like there's literally, you can't go on more than a month or two before technology changes or something massively changes in this space. And why is it that enterprises want to go on this journey, right? Like it's probably an over index question, but I think it's still kind of good to kind of kick that off. So would love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, sure. But so that's a very good starting point. I think start off at a macro level and go down deep into the specifics. But start off and share the big picture about what's happening in the industry on AI. I would probably start off by saying that most organizations that I talk to, they have AI somewhere in production. Does it mean they get all the same benefits? No, the impact and the results is uneven. What we see is a lot of teams have gone past the pilots in few high throughput workflows. Think about customer support, software development. At Forrester, we call it Turing bots. And also the business planning. But the good thing is, and the good thing is, organizations are moving into industrializing AI into their businesses. Just as a matter of fact, I was listening to Jamie Dimon's interview just yesterday, and he talked about how AI is revolutionizing the business operations, customer support, and other different functions within his organization. And they've been spending like $2 billion. At least that's the most recent number that he talked about. And the results the company is getting with those investments. So while I say that, one of the good way of looking about the adoption of AI is by looking at the business functions, because it is very specific to a business function. You can't generalize AI and spread it across the organization. So what we see, AI is landing inside core departments. Think of HR, think of sales, operations, finance. We see AI pockets in all the major business functions. Now, if you look at the core theme across all these, production or development or test phases, the core theme is the same, which is automate as much as you can, automate the repetitive steps, and bring the humans only when there are exceptions. And while I said by the business function, we see several examples of it. Like clearly, Lyft, for example, shaved off resolution time in supporting its driver through large language model assistance. We see other examples like on the factory side, for example, BMW and Siemens, they've moved beyond typical demos to get into the environment, into the digital twins and co-pilot patterns that sit inside the real maintenance and planning workflows. Well, these are good examples, like something to feel good about and be motivated from. But there are some cautionary tales as well. We have seen Klarna, for example, it trumpeted the savings big time, workforce reduction significant, but after like 3 to 6 months time, they learned that, oh no, we still need a human in the loop. Whether that's customer service, whether that's software development, whatever business function that you are planning to implement AI in, humans are still required. They're pretty much a must in the loop. Now, you also asked about why is AI accelerating right now? So I think the leading question, that's a leading question that we also get from several clients and prospects who are moving from one stage of AI adoption to the other. I think of 3 reasons. First and foremost is the competitive pressure. 2, it's the availability of capacity, availability of models, availability of all the underlying key components that can make AI provide results. And the third thing is sovereignty. In fact, I would say that even though I'm saying that as the third element here in terms of the AI adoption, but we see that as one of the leading reasons why organizations, enterprises, and even government institutions, they're investing into AI projects. Now, everyone also wants like a crystal ball. Hey, please tell me what will happen, right? And the fortunate or the unfortunate reality here is that no one has that crystal ball, unfortunately, in this age and world. But one thing is common based on the patterns and the trends that we see is that organizations will consolidate and will standardize on internal AI platforms. We see that happening over and over again. In fact, if I were to go back to the same example, Jamie Dimon also talked about the standardization of the AI platforms that they provide to 15,000 plus employees for them to be more effective at their jobs. So that's a development, a company or a leader like Jamie Dimon has been able to establish within the company. Not all organizations have the same capital wherewithal, same influence in the market, and so on. So others are looking at following those footsteps. So I would say that standardization, an approach with which all employees feel empowered would be the next good steps. And they'll happen, certainly for sure, that's going to happen in the next 12 to 18 months.
Wonderful. I mean, that really appeals, right? Like standardization of processes, and ability of flexibility, right? The ability to scale, right? Those are kind of the themes that I think are coming out, right? That you just mentioned, I mean. And so that's a great segue to like the next question, right? So there's a lot of stuff moving here, a lot of things changing, right? Now in this continuously changing space, right? So many options out there, software platforms, leading software, changing software. Enterprises are struggling today with AI platforms. Like, everybody wants it and everybody's struggling with it, right? So you kind of led to this, but I wanted to hear your thoughts a little about what should be those top considerations, right, that enterprises should be thinking about when they're developing their AI infrastructure. So I wanted to just hear your thoughts on what those look like from your purview.
Yeah. So how about in my response, I give you a view of the challenges that we see, the roadblocks, the stumbling blocks that we see, and that'll by itself translate into the key considerations. So how about that? As I see, for any successful project, there are three critical functions, people, process, and technology. That's how I see the word. And when it comes to people and processes, I think it is all about finding the right business relevance within any business. So the first and foremost thing that comes to my mind is the use case fit. What use case are you, or what problem are you trying to solve in any company and in any business function? AI can be applied to a specific problem. It is not a layer that you can spread across all over the organization. So that's the first challenge that we often see companies, fall into. The others are like, okay, I've identified the problem. Which model will solve my problem, right? And with this, in this world where the models and compute choices which are proliferating, there's no one single answer, one single right answer. So organizations have to identify that right answer for their own self. We talked about sovereignty in my previous response. I talked about sovereignty. And for the audience here, just to share that at Forrester, we conducted a market survey in which we asked them about their specific challenges. So I'm trying to now mesh my practical anecdotal experiences with the market data. In the market, in that survey, 72% of the respondents mentioned that sovereignty is a key challenge for them as they embrace private AI. Now, with that, the next thing that comes up often is compliance. You cannot have a private AI or an even AI project which falls out of compliance. That's the last thing that you would want. So that's a big challenge. Now, from a technology standpoint, I think there are few elements that kind of bubble up as the key challenges. I would start off with privacy, security, and governance. You can mesh them all up into security or governance, but they all go together very well. And I'll bring the data point one more time here. 77%, so roughly 4 in 5 respondents in the recent survey that we conducted, they mentioned that privacy and security in the AI first world is a big challenge. And in fact, if I were to even generalize, if it is not just about AI, but if I were to generalize, clients often tell us that security is paradoxical. They choose to operate in a public cloud because they expect it to be inherently more secure, more with more governance controls. But what we have found through our research is that this reality strikes only after they've fully embraced it. And we published a report like a year ago, which we titled Reality Strikes After You Move to the Public Cloud. So that's the first technical challenge that we find organizations face a lot. The next is about performance and scale. Again, very obvious one. The other important element that is specifically true in the AI world is cost and predictability. No one knows what is the actual scale that we would run our business, operations up to, and hence, cost can simply balloon up. So in our survey, we found that 51% of the respondents chose cost of running AI in public cloud is a big challenge, and I think 57% of the respondents also mentioned that proving the ROI is stopping them from private AI deployments. I'll probably bring back the example of Jamie Dimon. He commented about, again, in his interview yesterday, he commented about the return on AI investment in his company after using AI for more than roughly a decade. He said they've been using that since 2012. Before it was the thing. It has taken them so long to get to the ROI. I'm just imagining what would be the state of affairs for an average enterprise, despite hundreds, tens, or a few $millions of investments. Proving the ROI would be a little tough. So that's another challenge that organizations report quite a lot. The next one I would say is around the data architecture and the integration challenges across, as you try to integrate or as you try to embed AI into your business functions, you would need to seek or you would need to perform integrations across different tools, technologies, products, softwares that you might already have. So those are other areas where we see customers share that they are the challenges. So in retrospect, if you were to look at it now, those are the key considerations. As you in the audience, you start on your AI journey. These are the things that you must also be worrying about or taking care of.
Great. That was great. I mean, lots of themes appeared in my mind while you were talking about this, right? The reality of public cloud. In fact, at this point, just yesterday, I was sitting in a conversation, right, with a customer who was actually on the process of moving from one of the public clouds back to on-premises and opening a private AI space there, right? It's a big customer in the EMEA space. They're actually gonna come out, share some stuff publicly soon here as well. But that's really their story. They actually already have an AI space on public clouds. It's expensive. The guardrails are not solid. The privacy doesn't work for them. And now they're actually working at this point to move to on-premises. And then we won that deployment with them, and it's almost like halfway done at this point. So early November, we're actually launching with them as well. And so I'm going to give a hint to the audience here. They're actually going to be at Explore Paris coming up next week, right? So make sure you tune in and you'll hear who that customer is. Until then, it's confidential. And then the second thing about ROI, etc., you're spot on correct. ROI can be really hard for customers. You need standardization. You need a platform which is going to help actually make that path really easy, right? For you, so that ROI path is not so long, right? So with that, I'm going to shift over. Thank you, Naveen, for those couple of points here. Really good segue, actually, you put for us, right, about private AI, VMware Private AI. We made that announcement a couple of years back in 2023, Explore Vegas. And the journey has been pretty phenomenal since then, right? Prashanth, do you want to just give us the path of how that journey has gone from what you kind of seen, from your executive leadership role, and the feedback that you've heard from customers, et cetera, would be great to hear as well.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Shobhit, and thanks, Naveen. Really good, insightful data from various different examples, and you talking to your clients. For us, yes, we announced the private AI viewpoint back in August 2023. It's just been over 2 years, but it feels like almost 10 years
Yes.
because the pace at which the world of AI and Gen AI and now agentic AI has changed in these 2 years has been the pace of 10 years, right? And frankly, from the pilot to a production phase that even Naveen was mentioning, we've all been in this industry for over 25 plus years. The pace of change from pilot to production has never been faster, whether it was the mobile era, the internet era, the cloud computing era. So this has been really interesting for our customers to understand. When we started our journey in 2023, we got the most inbound inquiries when we were still VMware and not part of Broadcom to say, hey, we are hearing a lot of buzz because of ChatGPT and Gen AI. How can you, as a cloud infrastructure vendor, help us unlock the potential of Gen AI? Because back then itself, our customers were very concerned around privacy in terms of their intellectual property of data, because AI is obviously a very, very data-driven initiative. Privacy, access, sovereignty, compliance, and obviously the cost perspective, right? So all of these were big concerns for them, but they really didn't want to miss out on the operational, the technical, and the business benefits that they saw that generative AI would bring in. So those were kind of the points of view that we had to say, hey, how do we bring a private AI service on VMware Cloud Foundation that marries the technical and business benefits that Naveen mentioned with the security, privacy, compliance, cost, and governance requirements that a lot of our customers were asking. And that's where the genesis of private AI happened back in 2023. And we announced our partnership with NVIDIA to draw an integrated solution called VMware Private AI Foundation with NVIDIA, right? So that has been really resounding success, and quite a few of marquee brands like NTT, University of Texas at Austin, the U.S. Senate Federal Credit Union, etc., have deployed this across the globe at scale for various different use cases like chatbot, for document search, for providing a private AI environment for their students and their colleges, etc. So we are seeing a lot of different use cases to drive productivity, as well as to decrease drastically the TCO that the customers expect from them. But as we have gone through this journey, what we are seeing is it's more of a Maslow's hierarchy of needs for AI, if you will, right? Because VMware has been in the business of truly extracting the best possible efficiency from the underlying infrastructure, right? So we did it with CPU, and with vSphere, we have drawn drastic server utilization benefit, operational efficiency, and an ability to run diversity of workloads on the same platform. How do we bring that same capability in for AI, right? So we start off with basic thing around providing GPU access. If you're a multi-tenant organization, what does that mean to provide GPU as a service, carve out reservation, etc.? So that's kind of the basic thing. Number two, GPU is one of the most expensive IT investment that they've ever done. And we've seen customers having less than 35% of utilization of their most expensive resource. So there is a huge need for the second step is to provide basic visibility of how your GPUs are consumed, providing monitoring capability around temperature and all of that. That is very, very critical to operate at a highly efficient perspective. And then providing virtualization of your most expensive resource, right? Just like we've done with CPU. So that's kind of the second area of the hierarchical needs that we see customers wanting, so they can truly get the best of their infrastructure and drive the operational efficiency. And then it comes about providing self-service, right? So how do you build pre-built templates? How do you build database as a service? How do you provide a level of automation, not only for the underlying infrastructure operator, but also for the data scientist and the platform engineers for leveraging this to provide AI services for the line of business and application developers. So that becomes kind of the third phase of the journey. And then it's about the governance, right? Because as Naveen was mentioning, there are so many different models. What is the right model for my use case? How do I make sure it has the right privacy, access, sovereignty, security controls put in place? How do you onboard this model? How do you build an agent service to this model? How do you create guardrails around this model, or the next step? And then finally, how do you package all of this and provide this as a service, right? So those are kind of the steps that we have seen in the journey of private AI service, and we have packaged all of that into the Private AI Foundation with NVIDIA, the VMware's Private AI Foundation with NVIDIA. So this has been a very, very fast-paced journey for our customers, and we are looking forward to kind of building a faster pace of innovation, and you're going to see some of the announcements that you mentioned in some of our Explore on Tour.
Wonderful. Very nice. So moving on a little bit, let's dig into a little bit more about VMware Private AI Foundation with NVIDIA. How would you say it differentiates as one of the industry best platform for AI? Like, what's the key value that customers get, right? That they when they deploy this platform, what would be your thoughts around that, Prashanth?
Yeah. So to begin with, the Private AI Foundation with NVIDIA is truly an enterprise-grade AI platform, right? Which we have integrated and worked and co-engineered with NVIDIA, right? So we have VCF as an underlying cloud infrastructure platform with NVIDIA's AI enterprise software, but we provide the choice and flexibility for our customers to bring their own model, whether it's a commercial model or the foundational model or the NVIDIA AI models out there, right? So providing that flexibility and choice, but making it easy for our customers to deploy it and run it at scale in a very operationally efficient and TCO-driven manner is what the NVIDIA platform, the VMware Private AI Foundation with NVIDIA provides, right? And we've had this platform for over 2 years since our announcement, as we mentioned, right? And we've seen a lot of customers move from driving pilot use cases in their lab to test things like customer service and chatbot, to code generation and code assist, to document search and retrieval, to now using it for pretty large-scale project, right? So whether it's fine-tuning, inferencing, retrieval augmented generation, or RAG workflows, pretty much on Private AI Foundation across various different line of businesses and industries, right? Healthcare, and highly regulated industry like financial services, education, etc., right? What I consider to be a key value proposition is, number one, the overall cost benefit, right? It's very, very critical, both from an operational cost as well as the business value that the Private AI Foundation with NVIDIA provides. Based on our analysis and based on the customer deployments, we've seen the Private AI Foundation with NVIDIA compared to other choices out there, whether it's a public cloud space or some of the private cloud vendors providing these kind of service. We are 29% better TCO and goes all the way to 90% when it comes to some of the public cloud environment for deploying the same set of use cases, right? And this benefit is predominantly because the 25 years of innovation that we have done for business critical workloads running on CPU, we have brought all of that capability for Gen AI workloads and AI workloads running on CPUs with AI accelerators or GPUs, right? So that is very, very critical. Things like DRS or vMotion or smart workload placement, right? These are things that we take for granted and our customers have taken for granted in the CPU world. Bringing that itself drastically improves our operational utilization, server efficiency, GPU efficiency, etc., right? So that's a huge area. And then we made this the unified platform for running both your traditional workloads as well as your AI workloads, right? So it's the same infrastructure management, it's the same operating model, but with all the flexibility and choice of the underlying hardware, the models, the ISVs that you need to work with. So that flexibility and choice also drives a rapid pace of innovation for our customers. So those are some of the key benefits that we have seen that our customers have really embraced the Private AI Foundation with NVIDIA, right? And it's very critical for us that we do all of this with that security, the cost, the privacy concerns that our customers told us at the very beginning, and make sure that's the right platform for them so that they don't need to take their data out to a public space. They can build their private AI environments on premise, in their data center, in their colo environments. So those are some of the critical benefits before we go into some of the technical capabilities that Shobhit, I'm pretty sure, as a subject matter expert, you can go into.
Sure. Thank you, Prashanth. That was very, very helpful, right? The themes of privacy, security, governance, stuff, those kind of things for the regulated industries particularly is so critical. So I think completely agree with you there. So jumping into some of the technical details for a second, right? Like at a high level, very similar to what Prashanth had just explained, right? Is we categorize the technical capabilities into three buckets, right? The three buckets are enabled privacy security, right? Because at the end of the day, VMware Private AI, right? That's the promise. That's what we're delivering to the customer. So that's the most important category. Then there is infrastructure setup, right? Or simplify infrastructure setup. And finally, the capabilities is about model deployment. So if you start kind of think about it, privacy and security comes to the platform, right? Right from the top everywhere. Infrastructure is set up from the bottoms up, right? That's the way I kind of think about this as a pyramid, right? At the top sits privacy security. Infrastructure, getting it ready, right, for AI deployments is very important. And the last piece is the middle pillar, getting them set up, right, for actually now deploying models, right? So that's kind of the way I kind of think about this three, pillars or, three pillars, so to speak, but a pyramid is the way I think about that, right? And at the top sits enabling privacy and security. So what are the capabilities that come in this privacy and security element, right? It's secure model delivery, right, through model store. So what this capability is the capability that comes from vSphere, right, that's now become part of VCF and translates to the platform, is the ability to curate and provide secure LLM models, right, through anything that NVIDIA supports or Hugging Face supports, or wide variety of the support for models. So admin can choose exactly what gets released into their environment, providing that governance element, right, and the security element. Air gap support, that's become critical these days for a lot of the regulated industries. The military, government, those particularly want a lot of air gapping capabilities. Now you can do that through VCF, and then on top of it, put a private AI environment on top of it, right? So you get that air gapping capability. Software security patching through NVIDIA Enterprise. NVIDIA Enterprise is a critical part of the platform. It brings in through a subscription license that you have to pay directly to NVIDIA. You get capabilities to bring software and models and frameworks, and extremely critically, you get the ability to get secure patching and releases, which NVIDIA provides on a regular basis. Now let's move on to the infrastructure setup, right? As I was preparing, the pyramid of the privacy security is done. Now let's talk about the infrastructure setup. These models are complex, and the infrastructure can be very complex. But like Naveen and Prashanth have been indicating, right, the standardization that we provide is the fact that you get these templates and you provide all of these elements, right? So now you can quickly set up an infrastructure which is AI ready. So the big one that we have is vGPU manual tracking through vGPU profile visibility. So vGPU capability is something that actually has been part of our ethos, so to speak, now for 10 plus years, even prior to AI, where we virtualize these GPUs. And now through these GPUs, virtualization, we create what's called a vGPU profile on which different applications can now sit. Now, as the infrastructure setup or the GPU footprint keeps increasing, these vGPU profiles multiply, right? So you may have 1, 2, 3, 4, for example, vGPU or 4 sections of the GPU, right? And so you may get into like 10, 20, 30 GPUs, and now in the hundreds of vGPUs. All of that used to be manual. Through this vGPU profile visibility, now you have one place where you can actually exactly see which vGPU is dedicated to which GPU, to which vGPU is dedicated to which GPU, and then what kind of workload on it, right? So massive benefits for the infrastructure admin. RAG applications through vector databases. No AI these days gets done without RAG, right? Retrieval augmented generation. And you need a database really, which is basically what the RAG database, right, to be able to enable RAG on it. So we provide as part of the platform SKU vector databases, right? So you can leverage PG Vector and PostgreSQL, right, as part of the SKU, as part of the license that comes from the SKU. In future, when this platform becomes part of the subscription license, right, for VCF, like we've announced, this framework should translate there as well. Now, AI Blueprints Quick Start. These are those templates, right, for complex AI projects, right, which are hard to put together. Now, what we've done is through these blueprints, you can easily build these complex complex catalog objects, and you can easily replicate them through your environment, right? So this capability is very critical and extremely, time saving for the admin. The last is the streamlined model deployment. This basically capability is this capability, like I was talking about, is actually deploying now the models at scale, right? So that's the most important one, is instead of going through these custom kind of things you have to do model by model by model, right? You have these streamlined process, right, which we enable through this set of capabilities. The most important one is called the model runtime, right? You basically do model endpoints, right? So you basically download a model, and now you deploy these endpoints on which models can be done very easily through this runtime environment, right? The way to do this without this capability, the model usage can be very time consuming, right? And can sometimes take days, for example, for admins to actually put together. Agent Builder Service, right? Agent is the next new buzzword in AI, right? So everybody wants AI, the ability to build AI agent builders, and guess what? As part of our platform, we give that capability to build agents very easily just through a few clicks. NVIDIA NIM, right, which is part of the NVIDIA Enterprise, right? This basically is microservices, right, that you can pull down from the NVIDIA Enterprise with your NVIDIA AI Enterprise license from what we call the NGC catalog, right? And now you can take these microservices and easily deploy them on your infrastructure. And these microservices actually have models encapsulated, as well as the software framework and APIs, etc., that you need to be able to deploy those platforms. So that is a quick download of the technical pieces of it. There's very detailed blogs, etc., we have on our website that you can actually run in and actually go and read a lot more about this in detail.
Yeah. And Shobhit, I think one of the critical things that we've at least heard with, at least there's a perception out there in the market to say, hey, why do you even need virtualization to run all of your AI workloads, right? Because there's a lot of like, hey, why can't we just run it on bare metal? I think it's very important for the audience here to truly kind of do a POC and compare bare metal versus running it on a virtualization platform like that of VCF, right? So because there are inherent like the biggest concern is around performance, right? Like, hey, bare metal, and you put another middleware and you're going to lose performance. And we have done some pretty extensive MLPerf benchmark testing for big LLM models, billions of parameters. And we have seen pretty much just a 1% degradation in performance running on VCF compared to bare metal. Now, compare that to all of the benefits that we talked about that VCF provides in terms of operational efficiency, in terms of TCO benefits, in terms of server consolidation benefits, GPU visibility, monitoring, and all of the things that Shobhit mentioned, and package that with barely a minimal hit to the performance. It becomes a no-brainer as to why, for pretty much majority of the AI workloads, running it on a virtualization platform like VCF provides a tremendous benefit without sacrificing your performance and doing it at scale. So I just wanted to mention that point, since it's very, very critical for the customers before they go full scale to do a POC, test it for very specific use cases, and compare the performance and cost analysis before they make a decision.
Wonderful. And just like Prashanth indicated, there's actual MLPerf internal studies, etc., we've done using on the MLPerf benchmark, which show we're right in line with bare metal performance. So you get the same level of performance as bare metal and all the phenomenal benefits of virtualization, right, and the platform itself. So great point there, Prashanth. Prashanth, so we made some big bang announcement, right, at Explore Vegas just a couple of months back. well, seems like a month, couple of months, actually only a few weeks.
Yeah.
We added AMD to the private AI ecosystem. Do you mind just kind of sharing the value, what we're providing to the customers through that?
Yeah, I think one of the audience also had asked that question because we talked quite a bit about NVIDIA, and that's how we started our journey, right? But now that AI has gone a lot more mainstream and a lot more in production environments, customers want flexibility and choice, right? So beyond the underlying, for the underlying infrastructure, not just for the models and the software that Shobhit, you mentioned. And in true VMware style, we have always known for providing flexibility and choice, whether it's the underlying infrastructure, whether it's the ISVs and SIs that we incorporate, and the open system, the ecosystem of partners that we bring in. So the same goes with the GPU infrastructure. So we've had really good, strong partnership with AMD in the CPU space for well over a decade. Now we are bringing that to the GPU space also. So we are partnering with NVIDIA and jointly collaborating with that to bring the Private AI Foundation with AMD. What that means is the AMD Instant GPUs with the AMD Enterprise AI software and their huge open ecosystem that they partner with, because AMD is part of a lot of open projects like Open Compute Project, Ultralink Accelerator, and Ethernet Consortium, etc. So all of that capability and software choices that AMD provides, along with VCF Private AI Foundation, is going to be hugely beneficial for our customers. In fact, we are getting a lot more inbound requests right now. One of the big sovereign cloud providers is actively evaluating AMD with VCF to drive sovereign cloud AI services for their end customers. So we are seeing a lot more demand beyond NVIDIA to provide that flexibility and choice of the underlying CPU as well as the AI enterprise software on top.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Prashanth there. Naveen, next question is for you. So there is a pretty fantastic report that you're about to publish, the commission study, right? I want to refer to that. One of the interesting trends, right? And so this is basically, we're kind of telling the audience at this point, right, that there is a study that's going to come out. You're going to see some very interesting things that Naveen is kind of writing for us. What we noticed is that for organizations who are measuring use case success over next 2 years, right, which is, you kind of talked a little bit about that earlier as well. What we noticed as part of the questions that came out there was that enterprises will be lesser focused on reduction in manual work, right, which is counterintuitive. It feels like it to me, right? It's 76% right now and only 49% in 2 years. And improvement in business outcomes, which is very, very important at the moment, right? We hear about it all the time, is 91% right now, but only 73% in 2 years. Both of these fall, right, from 76 to 49 for reduction in manual work, and 91 to 73 for improvement in business outcomes. These feel very counterintuitive, considering I would argue that these are the most important reasons you want to do AI in the first place. I wanted to hear your perspectives on why you think that is the case.
Yeah, sure, but that's a great question. And for the audience benefit, let me restate the problem that we're talking about. So in one of the questions that we asked the survey respondents, and we primarily asked people who are responsible for AI initiatives in their organizations. So one of the questions was, how important are different factors? We provide them several options. How important are those as of today? And how important would those be 2 years from now? So that was the frame of the question. Shobhit, the points that or the options that you're referring to is the reduction in manual work, for which people said, or respondents said, 76% of them consider that important now, but only 49% consider it would be important 2 years from now. So that was one option. Second option was improvement in business outcomes. 91% said it is important for them now, and only 73% said it would be important 2 years from now. And the point is fair, Shobhit, which is it is counterintuitive. My take on that is CXOs or who are funding these large multi-million dollar initiatives, they're thinking, I'm making investments and I need to get return on my on the investments. Whether it is employee productivity, internal, or customer experience improvement or internal operations improvement, whatever that is. Yes, that's important to me. My thought on that is, while the tech leaders are making those investments, they're investing in AI with the hope that they would have less manual work to do in 2 years' time. And that's a reflection of what people are thinking. I also think that these thoughts of, hey, AI is a panacea and it will deliver all the business outcomes that we have to deal with today, and we would not have to deal with it 2 years from now. I don't know if I can call that as a false hope or expectation or being overly optimistic, but that's what it feels like as of now. But time will tell whether that'll be true or not. However, I'm pretty certain on one aspect, which is we would have new business problems to deal with. Even if these problems that we are hoping that AI will solve for us, we would have new problems to deal with. And I think all of us have been in the business long enough. I think Prashanth also mentioned some numbers. We've been in the business long enough, and we have learned hard lessons that the tech innovations, tech advancements, these are not absolute answers or solutions to existing problems. The problems morph, and so do the solutions. So each solution, I believe, will come with its own set of new challenges. We can always speculate what those new problems would be, but probably that's beyond the scope of current and today's discussion. What I'm pretty certain is that we will be occupied in problem solving the new challenges that we would see in 2 years' time. That's pretty much the nature of the problems. And so would be our responses be, which is to solve those problems.
Wonderful, wonderful. Great point there. Through all of this constant change, now and in the future, like Naveen, you mentioned, you need something that's going to be stable, right? You need a standardized platform, right? And so this is where I think we're in a really good place from a Broadcom perspective. So with that, last question for you, Prashanth, this time. Where do you see VMware Private AI going in the next next? What should customers expect from us in the next year or so?
Yeah. I think, as I mentioned, we will continue to expand the flexibility and choice for our customers when it comes to the underlying hardware infrastructure, right? So we will not only expand our partnership with NVIDIA to support the latest and greatest GPU architectures, but also expand our partnership with AMD, as we mentioned. So you can truly expect that choice and flexibility of the underlying hardware infrastructure, along with a very broad ecosystem of ISP partners, the models, etc. Right? Beyond that, there are a couple of things that I want to highlight. One is around MCP, or the Model Context Protocol. Obviously, these days, no AI conversation goes on without talking about MCP, right? So we will support MCP so that we can provide enterprises with a very standardized and secure method to integrate their AI assistant with their internal content repo, right? And external tools like SQL servers, ServiceNow, GitHub, Slack, Postgres, etc. Right? So without them having to build their custom connectors, right? So truly making it easy for them and standardized for them to build and integrate their AI assistant. The second is the model endpoint sharing. When we GA'd VCF 9 back in August, we already announced the GA for model runtime capabilities, right? Where enterprise and CSPs, the cloud service providers, can deploy models on a common inference engine. Now, this model runtime will now be enhanced to allow the secure sharing of AI models between tenants. So if you are a large enterprise where you're providing private AI as a service to multiple tenants, now you can do this endpoint sharing across your tenants. Or if you are a CSP, you can do the same thing and do it at scale, right? So those are while maintaining the privacy, the isolation, the data access, which are very critical and fundamental to our platform, right? So those are some of the capabilities, but I'm pretty sure, Shobhit, you can list a few additional things that we are building, both at the infrastructure level as well as the software layer.
Sure, Prashanth. I think you summed up the very important ones there. There's maybe one or two I'll add to the list. Intelligent Assist. This is a very cool capability, right, that we're in the process of building right now and will be released in the future, right? This is going to be built using the capabilities of VMware Private AI Foundation with NVIDIA, right? This is an LLM-powered assistant, which will be integrated into VCF, right, and offer the capabilities, right, for admins to be able to access Broadcom's knowledge base, right, and be able to troubleshoot, problems easily, right? So it's a very powerful capability. It's going to be integrated at every level in VCF. Really going to be a pretty fantastic capabilities. There's a couple of more I'll just briefly mention. High-speed networking with enhanced direct path I/O. VCF in the future is going to incorporate support for NVIDIA Connect X7 and NVIDIA Bluefield 3 Super NICs with enhanced direct path I/O. That's the most important part, the next direct path I/O, which means you can basically leverage all the advanced capabilities and capabilities like GPU Direct RDMA, GPU Direct RDMA direct storage, right? And build this very high-speed multi-host AI model training and data transfer, right? And then, which is crucial really for generative AI, right? As the models keep increasing, that's multi-host kind of environment becomes so critical to get top-level performance. VCF support for NVIDIA HGX B200. In the future, we're going to support HGX B200 systems as well. Currently, we already support RTX Pro 6000 GPUs, which is the most current generation one. So basically, our depth of partnership as well as our the strong capabilities we're adding into this platform keeps increasing. In addition to building the AMD support for AMD GPUs, like Prashanth had indicated. So with that, we have come to the end of this webinar. I urge the attendees to go to our webpage for more information and stay tuned for that commission paper, right, that Naveen had mentioned. I'm going to briefly just flash a barcode here that you can scan. And if you're interested, kind of talking to us about VMware.com, building a partnership with us or a deployment with us, please take that barcode. It'll take you to a web form. Literally in minutes, you can get in touch with our experts, right? And like I indicated, VMware.com/AIML-NVIDIA. That's our webpage on which you can get a ton of more information for this platform. With that, great discussion. Thanks for attending to all the audience. And most importantly, Naveen and Prashanth, really, really, really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
All right, turning it back to you, Anders.
Awesome. Thank you, gentlemen. Always good to have you here, and always good to see where we are with the future of AI. It's one of those things where we're just, the bar keeps moving and we keep keeping up with it. It's one of those things that, like, so much of the topics of discussion today are, we can talk about where we know and where we think we're going to be in a quarter, in a year. However, the applications and the regulations and everything else just keep moving, and I'm really proud to say that we're really staying ahead of it at a champion level. So with that, thank you again. Thanks to all of our attendees for being here today. And we're going to have the link up for the recording of today's session, as well as the location of all of our previous recordings. So if you've missed any of our previous sessions, feel free to go back there and look, share those with your colleagues, particularly this one for anybody who wasn't able to make it today. And also that has our schedule of all of our upcoming webinars. So we're going to keep this going throughout the end of the year. We've still got a couple more scheduled between now and the end of the year. Link is up there in the chat. Thank you, Simon. And we look forward to seeing you at the next one. Thanks again, everybody.
Wonderful.
Have a good rest of the day.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.